Taraji P. Henson exposed Hollywood's pay gap, but this issue extends far beyond the entertainment industry. What drives the persistent wealth gap in Black communities, and how can we work towards closing it? This video takes a deep dive into the systemic barriers that prevent wealth accumulation and financial stability for Black Americans. Stick around for key solutions to a fairer future. Don't miss this vital conversation. Tune in for strategies to close the wealth gap. Greetings and welcome. I'm Carolyn A. from GettingToTheRoots.com, ready to empower you with tips, resources, and tutorials to craft a legacy that's uniquely yours. Let's discover the unique role your family has played in history. Join us on this incredible journey. Together, let's uncover the stories that have shaped us, celebrate the diversity of our heritage, and ensure that the legacies of our ancestors are remembered and cherished forever. Let's dive in. How did slavery, laws, and the Ku Klux Klan contribute to economic disparities in Black communities? Slavery initiated economic disparities by denying Black individuals the ability to own property, accumulate wealth, and engage in the nation's economy. Post-slavery Black codes and Jim Crow laws further oppressed African Americans, restricting their freedoms and maintaining racial segregation. These laws aimed to keep African Americans as a cheap labor force and limited their access to economic opportunities, affecting education and employment. Additionally, the Klan's violence and intimidation inflicted property damage and hindered economic advancement in Black communities, exacerbating poverty and economic inequalities. If you find value in this video, please show your support by liking it, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. This aids in improving our visibility through YouTube's algorithm. Now, let's get back to our video. What was the impact of sharecropping on the economic well-being of Black families? Sharecropping, a post-Civil War system, entrenched Black families in cycles of debt and dependence through exploitative contracts and practices, impeding their ability to accumulate wealth, own land, or gain financial independence, thereby exacerbating today's economic disparities. How do discriminatory practices impact Black families' homeownership and wealth building? Redlining. Mortgage applications were declined in the neighborhoods predominantly occupied by Black people. Racial bias in appraisals. Black homes are undervalued, limiting mortgage and loan opportunities. Predatory lending. Unfair loan terms target Black borrowers, trapping them in debt. These issues lower Black homeownership rates compared to white families, impacting wealth creation through home appreciation and equity. How do employment barriers widen the wealth gap in Black communities? Building wealth is a cornerstone of financial security and opportunity. However, Black communities face significant systemic challenges in the employment sector that hinder their ability to accumulate wealth. Here's a closer look at two key issues: racial wage gaps and job discrimination. Black workers consistently earn less than white workers for the same jobs. This wage gap persists across education levels and occupations. Studies have shown that factors like implicit bias, discrimination in hiring practices, and segregation in higher-paying industries contribute to this disparity. Imagine two people with equal qualifications applying for the same job, but the Black candidate is offered a lower salary. This pattern, repeated over time, creates a significant wealth gap. In 2024, the entertainment industry's wage disparities remain stark, as illustrated by Taraji P. Henson's experiences. Despite her acclaimed career, her advocacy highlights the ongoing struggle against systemic pay inequality and the need to address these disparities across all sectors. Limited access to high-paying jobs and career advancement. Historically, after slavery, Black workers were often concentrated in low-wage service industries with limited opportunities for advancement. And, over time, they remained in low-wage sectors due to hiring and promotion discrimination. These practices have limited their access to better opportunities and pay, hindering economic advancement and wealth building. These employment barriers have a ripple effect. Lower wages make it harder to save for a down payment on a home, a crucial wealth-building tool. It also makes investing in retirement savings or education for children difficult, limiting future opportunities for wealth creation. How does unequal education impact wealth building in Black communities? Education is often seen as the key to unlocking economic opportunity. However, for Black communities, unequal access to quality education creates a significant barrier to building wealth. Here's how. Historically, Black students in the United States faced systemic educational disparities. Segregated, separate but unequal schools were grossly underfunded compared to white schools. For instance, in the early 20th century, Southern states spent up to 10 times more on white education than on Black education. These conditions resulted in overcrowded classrooms, insufficient materials, and a lack of qualified teachers for Black students, starkly limiting their educational and, subsequently, economic opportunities. Additionally, through the 1940s, numerous Black Americans faced obstacles that prevented them from attending school or advancing beyond the 4th or 5th grade. Black students often incur more student loan debt than white peers, influenced by lower family wealth and fewer scholarships. This debt hampers financial milestones and wealth accumulation, pushing them towards lower-paying jobs for manageable repayments. Consequently, this affects their long-term financial growth and ability to transfer wealth to future generations. How does limited access to capital constrain wealth building for Black families? Limited access to capital severely restricts wealth building for Black families, perpetuating a cycle of economic disadvantage. Systemic bias and discrimination in the financial sector obstruct their ability to secure business loans and investment opportunities, stifling entrepreneurship and growth. Additionally, the historical legacy of slavery impedes generational wealth transfer, further disadvantaging Black families from accumulating and passing on wealth. This cycle of limited capital access and the absence of a financial foundation hinders Black families' ability to invest in businesses, a crucial step for wealth creation and economic mobility. How did urban renewal and freeways reshape lives in Black areas? Mid-20th century urban renewal efforts, marked by freeway construction, significantly altered the landscape of American cities, often at the expense of Black communities. These projects, aimed at modernizing urban infrastructure, inadvertently led to the displacement of residents, the fracturing of communities, and the erasure of cultural and economic centers. Notable examples include Detroit's Black Bottom, dismantled for the Chrysler Freeway, a once thriving hub of African American culture and business. The Cross Bronx Expressway in New York City displaced thousands and fragmented neighborhoods. The Dan Ryan Expressway in Chicago bisects the South Side and affects mainly Black neighborhoods. These examples reflect a broader pattern of urban development practices prioritizing infrastructure projects over the integrity and preservation of established communities, highlighting the need for urban planning that values social and cultural equity. How does the lack of representation in leadership roles impact wealth building in Black communities? The lack of representation in leadership and decision-making roles is a key systemic challenge for building wealth in Black communities. This issue spans government, corporate boards, and educational institutions, affecting policies, employment opportunities, and access to education and capital. Without adequate representation, policies may not fully address the needs of Black communities, potentially exacerbating economic disparities. Corporate leadership gaps can limit career advancement and pay equity for Black employees. In education, a lack of Black leaders affects curriculum relevance and support for Black students, hindering their academic and future career success. Access to capital for Black entrepreneurs is restricted, impacting the growth of Black-owned businesses and community economic development. Can reparations bridge the racial wealth gap? Cash payments. This proposal suggests cash reparations of a minimum of $20 million per descendant of enslaved individuals, aimed at acknowledging the economic impact of 400 years of slavery and ensuring significant economic empowerment. Post-emancipation discrimination compensation. From 1865 to the present, a proposal suggests granting $10 million to every Black individual in the U.S. who has experienced racial discrimination, acknowledging the enduring systemic obstacles since the end of slavery. Proposing free education for the next 400 years, from academia to vocational training, to address the historical denial and ensure equal success opportunities for Black Americans. Comprehensive health care, including dental, vision, pharmaceuticals, and specialized care, is being proposed for Black individuals for 400 years, addressing health inequities from past abuse, neglect, and discrimination. Acknowledging the global complicity in the transatlantic slave trade, this proposal includes the right for African Americans to live in the country of their choice. This measure seeks to offer a form of restitution for the forced removal of their ancestors from their homelands. The federal government should implement reparations, acknowledging its role in historical injustices. This multifaceted reparations strategy presents a bold yet necessary step toward rectifying the historical injustices of slavery and systemic discrimination. It offers a blueprint for genuinely equitable economic and social reform that acknowledges the depth of the racial wealth gap's impact on Black Americans. Well, that's a wrap on our deep dive into the path to prosperity, tackling the Black wealth gap. Keep the conversation going in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe for more insights into how history shapes our current world. Thanks for tuning in, and I look forward to your thoughts below. Peace and love.